Hello everyone, this is Damon with Pixnub Software, and for this video I'm going to be showing you how to do a typical MemoryMate setup to automate in Sports Photo Automation 7. And so this is not going to be a pretty template, it's just a blank document, but you can use your own fancy graphics for yours. You'll just get the concept here. So first thing you need to do is add a player mode. You can use any player modes. You can use cutout images or non-cutout images. It doesn't matter. It works the same. I'm going to use a standard non-cutout image for this one. And so add player setup. And when you're using the non-cutout images, it's going to ask you for a size for the smart object. Make that the same exact size as your images that you're feeding into the template. So in this case, the player images are 3200 by 4000. That's what I'm going to use. It will auto fit it anyway. As long as you have the same aspect ratio, that's really what matters, but it's best to use the exact same pixel dimensions if you can. So then we'll use Control T to scale it, or Command T on Mac. And don't use the Shift key in CC 2019. Because using the Shift key will allow it to distort the aspect ratio, which is backwards from prior Photoshop versions, just as FYI. Alright, so now we need to add a team. Going to add team mode 1, add team setup layers. Again, it's going to ask us for the dimensions, and this is the dimensions of the team images that are going into it. In my case, it's 6000 by 4000. Again, just scale and move it where you want it. It doesn't really matter. And you can have a panoramic setup with them side by side. You can have a standard 8 by 10 top and bottom. It's really up to you. It's going to fit your images in regardless. All right. Now let's add a couple text layers just to do it. All right, let's call this first name. Yeah, it's inside our group. We don't want it in our player group. Let's put it above there. All right, just duplicate that. Last name. All right, that is one ugly template, but that's fine. It's going to serve the purpose of a demonstration here. One thing too with your naming, I suggest always using the same naming convention for all of your templates. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. Before we go any further too, let's hit convert all text layers to point, because right now they're in paragraph mode. We need those in point mode. Okay, all the text layers are converted. So this template is ready to go. So let's save as. Let's call this MemoryMate 2, I guess. Let's make a new one. Okay, this is set up and ready to go. Alright, so now we're going to run the batch. So same thing with the source folder. This is the folder that contains your player images, not the team images, but the individual player images. And then for the background file, let's select that new one we made, MM2. And then the team file, when you're doing MemoryMates, you have to select the team file as well. Now in your CSV, you can override these, but it needs something as a default. Not only is a default file name, but this is also going to establish the folder the teams are in. So if you're replacing those in your CSV, it'll know what folder to look into. All right, that all looks good. Let's load some CSV data. Now this is optional. You don't have to load CSV data. So if you don't have text and you're only doing one team, then by all means, don't even use the CSV data. it'll use that same team image for every single image. So if you're not using CSV, you can only do one team at a time because it won't know which team to match up with what player. Let's look at this CSV, because I did use a CSV here. Now, the column A is always your individual player image, and then the team file can be in any column, but I like to put it right next to it. So just the header called team file, and then the file name under it, and this file name is thunder.jpg, so the .jpg is optional. Now, if you had more players that had different names, for example, if you had warriors.jpg, you could just put in warriors there. You can also put the JPEG in, that's optional. But that way you can batch multiple teams at the same time. However, you do need to load one default into the into here. So it has to have that because it's going to know what folder to go to for the team image based on what you loaded here. And so that you don't have to put any folder information in here, just the file name, but all the team images have to be in the same folder. Alright, so we are ready to go. And so let's just run this batch. And a quick check, CSV data is on, memory mate mode is on. And the memory mate mode on or off, that just has to do with whether you loaded a team file or not. Alright, let's take a look at the images. You see, it would have been these last two that ran right here. No, it'd be this one and this one. I ran a few other demos before, so it will never actually overwrite a file. So if there's a file with the same name, it'll add an extension, just as FYI. So let's open these two. You see that the text replacement worked. The images are in the same location, although they were shot differently, but nonetheless, it did the memory mate composition. Now, of course, you can spice up your template as you want. This is pretty generic here, but at least you get the idea of how to do this. Thanks for watching, and if you're interested at all in sports photo automation, please be sure to visit our website. That is pixnub.com.